Welcome to the Momnificent Podcast. This is the place where we help parents live a happy, healthy life with their kids. We're going to show you how to connect with your child and help them even in their most difficult moments as we hear from experts in the field. I'm your host, Dr. Karin Jakubowski, an international speaker, public school principal, and former struggling student. The Momnificent Podcast equips parents with science-based strategies to help you live a happy, healthy life with your kids. Welcome.
I'm a nurse practitioner by trade.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I have 2 masters in nursing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm a little bit of a lot.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But you don't regret being a nurse.
My story is in terms of how I got from. So I'm a nurse practitioner by trade. So I have 2 masters. I got my first master's at Johns Hopkins in adult geriatric critical care. And then I got my second master's in family medicine. So I have, if you actually put all the letters behind my name, I have 20 letters behind my name.
Oh my gosh.
I worked in the ER then for about a decade. And what happened was it kind of transpired where even before COVID, my husband and I, for the last 8 years, have been renovating houses as a side hustle, if you will. We both went to Hopkins for our first master's degree. He also has 2 masters, and we were energy rich, but cash poor. So we came back to where we live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and we decided the best investment was really to buy a fixer upper and, hopefully make some money on it then in 2 years when we resold it. And we did really well. So we did it a second time. And it was while we were in that house that my husband one day joked, I was spouting some sort of frustration with the ER because who isn't frustrated in medicine? Even before COVID. And he's like, well, you should just make your millions blogging. And I was like, I laughed and I said, first of all, what is a blog? I didn't even know what it was. This is no lie. This was about 3.5 years ago now. And he explained to me, like, over the last however many years, all of the times that I would Google how to install Backsplash, for example, he explained that when you get to a tutorial, you're on somebody's blog. That's basically a blog. And I was like, wait, there are people making money just blogging about the things that I am doing anyway. And he said, yeah. So I was like, this is so interesting. So it really started, my blog started as I call it digital scrapbooking. I just digitally scrapbook what we were doing with our fixer uppers. And I love a good challenge. And I loved the creative aspect to it. I actually thought I was going to be an English teacher when I graduated from high school. So it really sort of allowed me to explore the other side of my brain. Anyway, I fell in love with it. And one of the things that transpired as well is I suddenly now had social media. Prior to blogging, I had 0 social media. So 3 years ago, I had no Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, nothing. I was very anti. I was like, I don't need to be sharing my life with the world. And anyway, all that to say, I suddenly had this virtual presence. And one of the things I have always been passionate about is teaching patients and the community about disease prevention. You know, I worked in medicine for 15 years, 10 of those being in the ER. And part of the role I also assumed was I helped start up 2 stroke programs for 2 local hospitals. And I ended up being named the assistant medical director. And I acted as that for about 5 years for those 2 programs. And one of the things that I did is I spoke all over on stroke prevention. And I fell in love with the opportunity to share my knowledge on how to prevent disease as opposed to the rescue medicine that is essential.
Treating.
Exactly. To the ER. And I just loved it. It's what I was really passionate about. And suddenly I had this virtual presence that I could actually get into a program called The Faster Way to Fat Loss. It was started by a classmate of mine from college. As a multi-million-dollar business. She has just done an incredible job, her and her husband. So I was like, okay, now I actually have this virtual presence. I could consider being a virtual fitness and nutrition coach. it just rolled. One thing rolled into the other. You never know what God has in mind for your life is the bottom line. It's just taken off. And after a lot of prayer and consideration, I stepped away from bedside medicine 1 year ago now and have started my own, virtual business.
Oh my gosh.
Through my blog and website. Yeah.
Okay. And so then what did you, so in the last year, what has also transpired to
Great
now?
Question.
Now you have a subscription you could tell us about.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really been quite the journey. I always joke that I have no education in business or entrepreneurship. It's this whole new world for me. So when I go to these like business groups, I just kind of sit there. My eyes are huge. I'm like, wait, what? What is a B2B? Like business to business. I was like, I had no idea what that was. Again, 20 letters had nothing to do with.
It's a whole different world. The corporate structure. I show up. There's a system, and now it's like create my own system. What?
Exactly. And I love it. It's like a love-hate relationship, right? I've fallen in love with it. I realized I am truly an entrepreneur at heart, but I don't have the education behind it. So it's really just been a cool walk of faith and resourcing people who are so much wiser than me. But over the last year, so my blog or my website is called hammersandhugs.com. Hammers, letter N, hugs. And it's a conglomeration of, it's really a DIY healthy lifestyle blog is really what it is. It's all about our family's fixer-upper adventures. We're on our third fixer-upper now. We're probably putting this one on the market and we're not sure what the next step is. But it's also tons of health and wellness. And what I'm passionate about is helping people live well across the entire spectrum. And I believe that's 5 spectrums when it comes to holistic well-being. And that is emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, and social. In medicine, that's what we're constantly trying to achieve as well as we can, is trying to help people live well in all areas. So that's really what I try to do on my website. You will see a little bit of a lot. There's many jokes around my business that people get there and they're like, what is happening? There's recipes. There is DIY tutorials. There are articles on fat loss and fitness and family fun. There's all kinds of things, but that's really my heartbeat, is teaching people how to redevelop well across the whole person.
Yeah. Because if you just do one area, you're going to have things lacking or dis-ease in another area, and it's not balanced. And that's like the biggest thing to everybody. Like, how do I balance this? How can I be more balanced? And so I think that's beautiful that, you focus on all those main areas that really, one impacts the other. If your spirituality is not doing so well, how do you how do you expect your health and your relationships and socially you to just be absolutely, where you want to be? Really, that's what it is at the end of the day. What do you really want? Yeah. And how's it going for you? How are things now? Like what is your current situation, and what would you want things to be better in which areas? Exactly. And then coming to your landing place to get some insight, help, and advice.
Yeah. And what's really, what I'm passionate about too is helping people bridge the gap between those different elements of well-being, because for right or for wrong, there's a pretty big gap between the fitness and nutrition industry and the health and wellness industry. And people are kind of like, well, it's sort of the same thing. But as somebody who has and had a foot in both, they really aren't.
What are you saying is like a difference?
Yeah. So you could have MD behind your name. You could be a doctor and work in medicine, but actually have no idea how to educate a patient on how to eat correctly. You may know what to say, but you may not be able to explain exactly why and how those elements are actually preventing disease. On the flip side, there are, or how to exercise would be an even better one. You could have somebody who's got MD behind their name, but they have no idea how to encourage a patient to strengthen or stretch their hamstrings or their quads, right? Like there's niches. And on the flip side, I would argue there's a lot of fitness and nutrition influencers who know what to say, but they can't make the correlation between Why is it that if you eat this, or if you do this, you will prevent high blood pressure? Or you could reverse high blood pressure. If you do XYZ, you can actually reverse your diabetes. But can you reverse type 1 diabetes by doing this? Do you see what I mean? Like, there's so many different elements, and the wisest
yours is like, your view is a holistic.
Yes.
view.
I have this unique position where I try to help people bridge the gap. I also fully recognize where my lane is and where I am, better able to serve my fitness and nutrition clients. But, I think the point is, it is so easy to have this really gray area where there's people who are saying one thing, but the fact is they don't really have the understanding to back up that statement. And that's kind of what I'm passionate about, is helping people bridge that gap and understand, if they change this about their diet, here's how you might see that reflected in your total cholesterol. Do you even know how what you're eating actually affects the different elements of your cholesterol, your LDL, your HDL, your triglycerides? So trying to help make it more physiological and not as emotional as fat loss so often is, especially for women, helping them hone in on the more kind of medical, cerebral, physiological elements of fat loss, and pursuing health, just as opposed to this sort of ideal of what health should look like, when in reality, that may just be an aesthetic appearance, not necessarily a true reflection of one's health. So that's what I'm really passionate about, is helping to sort of pull all that together, as well as the mindset that needs to come along with physical well-being, like you just said, tying all of that together.
And I think the understanding is key, because I know for me, that's the roller coaster that I'll get on, of like, I'll gain weight. I know how to lose weight. I mean, I did a figure competition like 4 years ago, like worked with a nutritionist for a year, and obviously, a coach and trainer. So I know how to get my body to do and be what it is, but it's not until I stop and actually educate myself on why I should be drinking the water, or why I'm actually flexing when I'm doing that muscle curl. And it's only when I've started learning and understanding the deeper meaning behind it. I know for me, when I understand it, it helps me make the better choice, and the knowledge is power. And so perhaps in your area, as you're educating us more and more, the more knowledge we have, it might help us to make better decisions. And we might be able to choose better, because we know the reasons why. It's not just because that's good or that's bad. No, I actually know why that is or isn't getting the result that is happening, or a different result that I want. So I think that you're right, that knowledge is absolutely huge. So tell us about the subscription that you now have, that you started. What is that?
Yeah. So there's two primary things, if people visit my blog, in terms of services or products. And one is obviously my fitness and nutrition program. It's a 6-week virtual program that clients can sign up for, that is specifically focused on fat loss and reaching that healthy body fat percentage. The other thing that we have at Hammers and Hugs is it is a digital subscription. So what it is a monthly subscription, and currently it is a monthly digital magazine that comes out. There are some changes coming. It's only getting better. But what it is it is a digital magazine that comes to your inbox once a month, and it is chock full of practical strategies to help reclaim your heart and home. And what does that mean? It's stuff that you can actually do. It's not just fluff and stuff. There's like magazines out there that I don't know if you know the ones I'm talking about, but you get them and you flip through them, and as a woman, you're like, oh, this is such a pretty article, but you read it, and at the end of the day, you're like, well, I can't do anything with that. Yeah. Like, it didn't give me any tips or strategies to actually make my home better, make it a healthier place to live, or my body.
And those are the ones that end up in the trash. Come on, right?
Right. Or they sit on your coffee table because the cover's really pretty. But at the end of the day, people they flip through it and they don't screenshot anything, right? It's like they don't take a picture of anything because there's nothing that helpful in it.
Right.
So one, it's full of really practical things that you can do. Organization, lots and lots of recipes. I pulled my followers. That was the number one thing they wanted, is easy recipes. So we try to put a ton of recipes into the issues. There's decor advice. There is cleaning tips. There's always a health and wellness section. We have guest contributors. So that's another option for anybody listening. If you want to be featured, we would love to have you write for us, which is awesome. Like, there's so many incredible contributors because they have all these different areas of expertise,
right?
Which is great. Lots of templates, things that you can download straight from the digital issue. There are productivity challenges. We're all about like inspiring each other to get it done. Right? We want practical things that we can actually do. So that's really the content. And then it's actually a portal. When you subscribe, you get exclusive access to different elements of the website that non-members do not have. So there's a member login on my website, and you basically get access to tons of resources that a follower otherwise or reader would not get.
That is so awesome. And I've seen it. I saw her first issue that came out, and it made me smile. Like, I love it. It's so beautiful. You did.
Oh, thank you.
Job.
I have a great team. It's not just me. I have a great team.
Oh, I love it. So yeah, definitely check that out. Is there like a free one that someone can view to see it before they?
Yes, I can actually send you the direct link for people to click on for your show notes.
Okay.
That they can sign up to get a free issue. I will send that to you. It's called the Imperfectly Empowered Journal. It's the same name as my podcast, the Imperfectly Empowered Podcast. And I will definitely make sure that you have that link. You can check it out, one of the issues, for free.
And I'm glad you mentioned your podcast. Tell us a little bit about your podcast for anyone.
People listening are probably like, wait, she's all over the place. She has a blog. She's a fitness and nutrition coach. She has a podcast. So I started a podcast. It's one of my favorite things that I have really embarked on yet. And it's called the Imperfectly Empowered Podcast. And what it's all about is sharing people's stories and their expertise. I am all about the concept of embracing imperfection, because I believe if we truly want to see transformation in our lives, the sooner that we can embrace the fact that we do not have it all together, that we're flawed, that there are areas that we're inadequate, the quicker we can leverage that to actually see transformation. Especially for women, we're so quick to compare ourselves to others. We're so quick to look at somebody else and, so quickly make this assumption that, well, they have it all together and I don't. And it's this idea that giving each other and yourself grace, that I'm telling you right now, they don't have it together either. Like, none of us has it together.
Nobody knows what's happening behind those closed doors.
Yeah. Or behind the beautiful exterior. It's this idea that we're so appearance based. And if a woman is beautiful and fit, she must therefore be happy
in every healthy area of her life.
Girl, it's not true. Don't believe it.
True. Not true. Go to that wheel, go to Anna's wheel and have that person rate themselves. And I swear it's not going to be 100% in every category as much as it may. You're right. That look deceives us that it is all. And then we feel bad. And then we have this, complex, and it doesn't need to be there. Why?
Yeah.
For what? For what purpose is that? It's not.
Right. No. And it's on all of us. It's on all of us, because the thing is, we propagate that mentality, right? We are ourselves propagating that idea of perfection by constantly trying to filter our authentic story. And that can be taken so many different ways, whether it's constantly trying to Botox out our wrinkles. Like, when did wrinkles inherently become a negative, right? Like, we are, and that's not a statement on Botox. I have a podcast coming on that, but it's not to assign a moral right or wrong to that, but it's more this principle of what message are we sending with our own actions? Because the fact is, you cannot be redefined, only redeveloped. Meaning, I believe that from the moment we were knit together in our mother's wombs, we were defined with infinite value by a divine creator, and that nothing that you say or do can add to or detract from that worth. It is a core belief that everything that I share, everything that I do and I see and I say is filtered through that belief. And it's transformative because it means that you are fully valuable as you are today. I'm all about before and after and that concept of transformation. But I always tell my clients, especially, that you are fully valuable as you are in the before picture, as you are right now. And just understand that you could be ready for the cover of Women's Health and be no less valuable than you were when you struggled to sit in an airplane seat because you were 50 pounds overweight. Your value has not changed. It is all about redevelopment. It's this idea that I want to help people learn how to run the race well for as long as they've been given by redeveloping emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and socially to live and fulfill that God-given purpose with just a little bit more energy, a little bit more joy, a little bit more freedom. But your value is unchanged. So embrace your imperfection, if you even want to call it that. Again, when did we decide wrinkles were imperfect?
Right.
Who made that call? I didn't. Right? Like, who made that call? So it's just that whole idea of let's share people's stories. That's what I'm all about on the podcast. I want to hear the messy stories, how they got to where they are, the mistakes that they made, what they learned from it, and just encouraging women to embrace that and to hear the fact that success actually came when these people embraced the mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
They embraced the struggle. They didn't try to skip it. They embraced it. So that's really what it's all about. And my podcast just highlights lots of different stories and then their expertise. I've learned so much.
Right.
Already.
Yes. Every podcast, I'm like so inspired because it's like
Yes.
a new learning for me in
Yes.
whatever area, or a reminder, or a, just an inspiration.
Yeah.
And I love what you just said, because imagine what this world would be
Amen.
if we just said today, I am valuable where I am, the weight I am, how I look, whatever's happening. My value is not tied to losing 10 pounds,
right,
or having more followers on Facebook, or
exactly.
Fill in the blank. Imagine, oh my goodness, Anna, like the world that we would be. So
Amen.
I love what you're doing, and it's influencing and empowering women to go back to that truth of, you know what, you are beautiful. You are beautiful. Nothing that you could do today could make you more or less loved. Like wow, that should just make us stand up a little bit taller today.
Amen. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that. So where can someone find and follow you again?
Well, obviously my website at hammersandhugs.com is kind of my landing page, if you will, for everything. And I'm on social media pretty much with that handle everywhere, Hammers and Hugs, or Anna Hammers and Hugs. But yeah, I would love for anybody to come along, whether you want to do my fitness nutrition program or just check it out. I also have I will send you this link as well. Okay. Actually, I have a 7-day free fat loss accelerator course. And what it is, it gives you the opportunity to test some of the nutritional strategies for free. It kind of gives you an introduction. People get very nervous about the nutritional piece to my program. They rock it every time, but that kind of gives people a little bit of a insight into what it will look like. So I'll give you the link to the free 7-day fat loss accelerator course, and then a link to the free issue for anyone interested in subscribing to that as well.
That's awesome, Anna. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing all this beautiful treasures.
Karin, it was an honor.
The difference that you're making for so many. And
thank you.
Yeah, thanks for giving of yourself and empowering women. And we're just going to keep doing it one woman at a time.
Amen.
We're going to keep
one imperfect woman at a time.
Joining hands. Let's link arms and band together and be like, yes, we are in this together, and we're all the same. We are.
We're enough. Yeah.
Yes. And we are enough. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Karin.
Hey there, it's Karin. I hope that you're enjoying the show. And by the way, if you're a mom who wants to learn how to help your child when they're struggling behaviorally or facing challenges in school, get started today by getting my free short video course, 3 Steps to Happy Healthy Kids, at www.educationalimpactacademy.com/free video. If you're new here or you haven't done this yet, this is definitely the first step to get started in learning how to have a happy, healthy life with your kids. So head on over to www.educationalimpactacademy.com/free video and grab your free gift today. Well, that's all we've got for this episode of the Momnificent Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would be honored if you would subscribe and rate if you really liked it. I know wherever you're listening right now, it might not be the best time to leave a comment, but feel free to leave a question, a review, or a comment at any time. And until next time, remember, don't worry, be happy.